Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 7 o'clock main news. In tonight's headlines, the Deputy Premier and Minister of Commerce and Industry affirms Kuwait's keenness to strengthen financial ties with Albania. 11 candidates joined the National Assembly by-election race on the 8th day of registration. Polling is extended on the final day of Egypt's presidential election, with ex-army chief Abdel Fattah al-Sisi poised to win. And Ukraine's army recaptures Donetsk airport as at least 40 people are killed in heavy fighting with pro-Russian separatists. His Highness the Emir, Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah, received this morning at Bayan Palace the First Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister, Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah. His Highness the Emir, Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah, received this morning at Bayan Palace the Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs and Acting Minister of Justice, Sheikh Mohammed Abdul Mubarak Al-Sabah, and the Chief of the Fatwa and Legislation Department, Advisor Salah Hussein Al-Mas'ad. His Highness the Emir, Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah, received this morning at Bayan Palace the Ambassador of the Republic of Niger to the State of Kuwait, Abdul Karim Seni, on the occasion of ending his term in office. His Highness the Emir, Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah, received this morning at Bayan Palace the Chairperson of the Kuwait Association for Learning Differences, Amal Al-Sayr, and members of the association. His Highness the Crown Prince, Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah, received this morning at Bayan Palace the First Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister, Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah. His Highness the Crown Prince also received the Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs and Acting Minister of Justice, Sheikh Mohammed Abdul Mubarak Al-Sabah, and the Chief of the Fatwa and Legislation Department, Advisor Salah Hussein Al-Mas'ad. His Highness the Crown Prince then received the Minister of Health, Dr. Ali Saad Al-Abedi. The Parliament completed its review of an amendment to a law on the formation of a constitutional court and the domestic labour regulation, as well as the construction of the Sabah Al-Ahmed Smart City draft law. The head of the Legal Affairs Subcommittee, Mubarak Al-Haris, told reporters that only single parties will be able to directly resort to the Constitutional Court. On domestic labour, Al-Haris said there was a lack of local regulation on the affair, adding that the Sabah Al-Ahmed City project would aim at solving the shortage of housing in the country. The National Assembly Speaker Marzouk Ali Al-Ghanem met today at his office with the advisory cardiologist Dr. Ibrahim Rashdan Al-Rashdan on the occasion of the latter being granted his second world-class award during the International Paris Convention for Interventional Cardiology Specialists, Therapeutic Cardiac Catheter, and also on obtaining the membership of the largest European organisation specialising in the cardiac catheter. During the meeting, Speaker Al-Ghanem hailed His Highness the Emir, Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah's initiative of granting Dr. Ibrahim Al-Rashdan the Order of Kuwait in honour of his achievements and services to the homeland. Al-Ghanem also praised the efforts of the noble doctor and his colleagues, affirming the Parliament's readiness to take all necessary legislative steps to support their medical and scientific march. His Highness Sheikh Jabir al-Mubarak al-Hamad al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, received today at Bayan Palace the Speaker of the House of Congress of Paraguay, Juan Bartolomé Ramirez Birzuela, and his accompanying delegation currently visiting the country. The meeting was attended by the head of the accompanying Mission of Honour and head of the Kuwaiti-Paraguayan Friendship Committee, MP Jamal Hussein Umar, and Assistant Under-Secretary of His Highness the Premier's Diwan for Local Affairs, Sheikh Khalid Mohammed Khalid al-Sabah. The Minister of Information and Minister of State for Youth Affairs, Sheikh Salman Sabah Hassan Al-Hamoud Al-Sabah, said the GCC has made many achievements that respond to the needs and aspirations of its people. Speaking to reporters at a ceremony marking the 33rd anniversary of establishing the GCC, Sheikh Salman Al-Sabah said the geopolitical bloc has managed to carry its responsibilities in serving its people under all circumstances. Sheikh Salman Al-Sabah then expressed gratitude to Saudi Arabia over hosting the GCC HQ and said Kuwait supports the plans to federalize the bloc, adding that subcommittees are carrying out exceptional efforts aimed at making this a success. The event was attended by the GCC Secretary General Abdul Latif Zayani, along with the ambassadors of the 6 member states and Saudi officials. In a speech, Zayani hailed recent steps for integration made by the 6-nation bloc, like the common market, the electric and water network, the customs union, and a joint railway. Albania's Deputy Prime Minister Niko Paleshi met with more local government officials today in line with his intentions to strengthen the two countries' bilateral relationship. Invited by the Minister of Finance, Anas Khalid Al-Saleh, Mr. Paleshi's trip is just the beginning of Albanian diplomats expected to visit Kuwait this year, including Prime Minister Edi Rama this coming fall. Our reporter Badriya Saleh has more on this story.
The Deputy Prime Minister of Albania, Niko Paleshi's visit to Kuwait precedes the Prime Minister of Albania's upcoming visit in September, as the two nations seek new ways to strengthen bilateral ties and explore options of Kuwaiti investments in the small Mediterranean country.
You know, our friends from Albania that's coming to Kuwait to have getting an opportunity for trade. We are discussing a lot of issues that regarding our relation. Of course, politically speaking, we are very solid in political, and regarding of the trades, we are now trying to get away from, to see what opportunity we can find with them regarding of our investments.
We had a very fruitful discussion. We discussed about several agreements that we tend to sign within this year. They will complete all the framework of our cooperation, and based on it we can then give a new start to the economic and financial cooperation with Kuwait as well.
The Albanian diplomat strongly encouraged both relational and financial investments between the two countries, as he expressed with the Kuwaiti ministers one of Albania's initiatives to reach this goal, via offering Kuwaiti citizens the opportunity to travel to his home country without the need of a visa during these upcoming summer months.
I accepted this invitation with a great pleasure because we are a new government in Albania and we are very eager and interested to develop our country based not only on our own domestic potential and resources, but also counting on the partner countries, on the friend countries.
Paleshi will continue to visit local government figures and diplomats today, but says he plans to leave little room open for some sightseeing before he leaves at the end of this week. The Deputy Prime Minister's visit comes in preparation for Albania's Prime Minister's travels to Kuwait in September, all in hopes to strengthen ties between the already close countries. At the Ministry's complex, I'm Badriya Saleh, reporting for the English News.
The Election Affairs Department at the Ministry of Interior concluded the 7th day of registration for candidates campaigning in the National Assembly by-election. The registration will end on May 29th and voting will take place on June 26th. Sarah Glubb was in Shueikh and has this report.
The Ministry of Interior has concluded the 8th day of candidate registration for the by-elections for the National Assembly's 14th legislative term to fill 5 vacant seats in the 50-seat member parliament.
I'm pleased to announce today we concluded day number 8 for the registration duration for the supplemental election for National Assembly. Today we admitted at the department 11 candidates, 10 male and 1 female. Thus far the total number rise up to 88 by the end of this day. And we still have 2 more days for those who desire to register themselves until next Thursday. And also we should take into consideration Thursday will be a vacation, but that's not count here. It's the department still open for completing the registration period.
As the doors closed on the 8th day of registration, a total of 11 candidates submitted their nominations, with 4 candidates in the 2nd constituency and 7 candidates in the 4th constituency. This puts the total number of candidates that have registered so far at 88, including 5 female nominations. The by-election will only be carried out in the 2nd and 3rd constituencies, with 2 seats each to fill and 1 seat from the 4th constituency.
Regarding the withdrawal, no withdrawal case so far. Anybody want to withdraw from the race, he has to go to the certain police station. There is a designated police station and make a handwritten letter to the people in charge there, and he can withdraw himself or herself. The last day for withdrawal will be in the upcoming month, 18th of June. 1 week before the voting day.
The Interior Ministry reminded that candidates wishing to contest the election have until the 29th of May to submit their candidacy at the Election Affairs Department in Shuwaykh. The Election Affairs is open from 8 a.m. until 1:30 p.m. As for those who wish to withdraw, the Ministry has designated 3 police stations for withdrawal for each constituency, with Shamia Police Station in the 2nd constituency, Khaldiya Police Station in the 3rd constituency, and Umariya Police Station in the 4th constituency. The date of voting for the by-election is set for June 26th, just 2 days before the start of the holy Muslim fasting month of Ramadan. The Election Affairs Department has now concluded the 8th day of candidacy for the National Assembly by-elections. Candidates only have 2 days left if they would like to hand in their nominations for the National Assembly by-elections, with the date set for June 26th. From the Election Affairs Department in Shuwaykh, this is Sarah Glubb reporting for English News.
Egyptians lined up to vote today on the 2nd and final day of the presidential election, with the country's former military chief Abdel Fattah al-Sisi poised on almost certain victory. Al-Sisi's only rival in the race is self-wing politician Hamdeen Sabahi, who finished 3rd in the 2012 presidential vote after several would-be candidates pulled out of the race. In an apparent effort to encourage a higher turnout in the election, Egypt declared a national holiday, and voters were warned they will be fined if they don't cast a ballot. According to initial figures, Al-Sisi has already received more than 90% of overseas votes, though what proportion of expatriates voted is not yet clear. The Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons said the group of chemical weapons inspectors who were reported kidnapped in Syria today are safe and were returning to their operating base. Earlier in the day, the Syrian Foreign Ministry said that 6 UN inspectors and 5 Syrian drivers had been kidnapped in Hama province by terrorist groups who are attempting to undermine the work of the fact-finding mission and commit terrorist crimes against the United Nations employees. The inspectors were investigating claims that the Syrian regime used chlorine gas on the rebel-held village of Gafazita in April. In the most significant step yet towards healing their 7-year rift, rival Palestinian factions Fatah and Hamas agreed today on the formation of a national unity government. The two groups said they had decided on a list of independent technocrat ministers who will run the government pending elections in at least 6 months, moves they hope will revive institutions paralyzed since the parties fought a brief civil war in 2007. Our correspondent in Gaza, Majd El-Wahedi, has the story.
Azzam Al-Ahmad, the head of the Fatah reconciliation team, arrived to the Gaza Strip yesterday to continue his negotiations with Hamas officials and finalize the formation of the unity government, which is expected to be announced this week.
منذ أن غادرت غزة قبل أسبوع.
Since I arrived to Gaza, we were in daily contact with the brothers in Hamas to consult on forming a government. President Abu Mazen is leading the process. I expect the government to be announced on Thursday or maximum on the next Saturday. So far, things are going in a positive way. All what was published about the obstacles is totally wrong news.
Hamas spokesman said yesterday's meeting ended in a positive atmosphere. He also added that Hamas entrusted Rami al-Hamadallah as the head of the National Consensus Government. Both parties resolved some candidates for ministerial positions in the new government, and the others will be determined in the coming hours. Confirmed sources reveal that Al-Ahmad will return to Ramallah today with a signed agreement.
I think the file of reconciliation is the easiest in the face of problems that may happen during the process. All the obstacles will prevail after the formation of the unity government. Problems will appear when they open other files such as the financial, security, and the social reconciliation files.
On April 23rd, Hamas and Fatah signed a historic reconciliation deal, nearly 7 years after an internal split. The move envisions forming a unity government within 5 weeks and holding national elections in 6 months. In Gaza, leftist Palestinian factions, including the Democratic Front for the Liberation of Palestine, said consultations to form a unity government weren't based on principles of partnership.
Reconciliation between Hamas and Fatah started within a narrow political space. It doesn't reflect the hope and aspirations of the Palestinian people who have endured 8 years of damage caused by Fatah and Hamas. Today, both parties are paying the price of this reconciliation because it came in a narrow political space and expresses only the interests of Fatah and Hamas.
In a recent statement, Gaza's Hamas Prime Minister said the reconciliation will not be a substitute for the resistance and other constants, stressing that Hamas achievements shouldn't be forgotten. In the meantime, Fatah and Hamas officials are meeting to finalize the unity government, which is expected to be announced today. People in Gaza still cling to their hopes that a new change is coming soon. Majlou Haidi, Kuwait TV, Gaza.
Ukrainian soldiers have been battling pro-Russian separatists in the eastern city of Sloviansk, which has seen sustained clashes. Ukraine's Interior Minister Arsen Avakov said today that Ukrainian military forces, including fighter jets and helicopters, had attacked the separatists and managed to retake Donetsk airport after a day of heavy fighting. Avakov, who also said that there was heavy fighting near Sloviansk, added that there were no casualties on the government side, but that dozens of insurgents might have been killed in the fighting. Meanwhile, Petro Poroshenko, the newly elected president of the Ukraine, said the country needed more help, including direct military aid from the United States, and made it clear that he was ready to negotiate with Russia. Injaz held its 7th National Company Programme competition at the Sabah al-Ahmed Hall in the presence of Dr. Abdul Muhsin al-Midhij, the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Commerce and Industry, and the representative of His Highness the Emir, Sheikh Sabah al-Ahmed al-Jabir al-Sabah, and Sheikh Salman Sabah al-Salim al-Hmoud al-Sabah, Minister of Information and Minister of State for Youth Affairs. Ghinwa Jabouri has more on this story.
Students could not be happier during an honouring award ceremony that was held to announce the winners of the National Company Programme. Students present at the event spoke of their happiness and expressed their appreciation for having been granted such a unique opportunity that will allow them to thrive and shine in a world that has become way too challenging. But with this rare special opportunity, they will succeed.
I would like to thank those who are behind it. And this is actually giving, our people that there is somebody who is going behind it, pushing for these interviewer that to be on. This is the best thing in this. Those kids is going up now with their work, is going to be in the future one of the Kuwaiti assets, and we're looking forward to seeing them that in a good way with their interviewer, what they are seeing today.
Founded in 2005, English Kuwait is a non-profit, non-governmental organisation driven by Kuwait's private sector. Through strategic partnerships with Kuwait's business and education sectors and with the help of qualified and dedicated volunteers, English delivers educational programs on entrepreneurial and leadership skills aimed at inspiring and educating future generations.
Today We've not only have we graduated, as you've seen, students who are potential entrepreneurs, and we're very proud of them. We've also completed around 5,000 students from very similar to the ones you've seen on stage in different programs. So it's been a great year, and we can't forget what volunteers such as Abdul Latif here has given us. We call this sustainability, and the way we do it is that we're developing an organization that is strong to succeed today and tomorrow. It's based on people who are working 8 to 5, 8 hours per day. It's about a board of directors who are ready to support us financially and in other means to support the organization. Not only that, Injaz is part of the largest network worldwide called Junior Achievements that engages in youth development.
Well, I think that we spend a lot of time asking what the government is doing for students and for people and for the youth of Kuwait. And it's the duty of people in the private sector to also take action towards this. And Injaz provides an excellent opportunity for volunteers to come in and get their hands dirty and start to teach students on how to build businesses. And it was an equally rewarding experience, I believe, for myself, as well as it was educational. So I'm very grateful to Injaz for giving me that opportunity. And it is a program that I would do again in a heartbeat. So.
A total of 20 student companies were represented by public and private high school and university students. Sponsored by Gulf Bank, the Best Student Company of the Year 2014 award for the universities category went to Scrub, and for the high school category, Go Kids. The two winning companies will be participating in a regional competition. Injaz is to aspire, to dream, to run and to achieve. Injaz certainly did all of that and a lot more today for the youth who have what it takes to build bridges and meet all challenges with zeal and passion and skill. From the Salwa Subah Ballroom located in Marina, I'm Gemma Jaburi reporting to you for the English News.
I'm moving to local financial news. The three main indices of the Kuwait Stock Exchange were positive by the end of today's trading session, with the price index gaining 15 points to reach 7,258 points. The KSX 15 index also gained 13 points and settled at the level of 1,195 points. The share of the Ajwan Gulf Real Estate Company was the top gainer of the day, while that of the Investors Holding Group Company was the top decliner by the end of the session. For a chance to see our reports again, please visit our YouTube channel at MOI Kuwait News. And to recap tonight's news, here are the headlines once again. The Deputy Premier and Minister of Commerce and Industry affirms Kuwait's keenness to strengthen financial ties with Albania. "11 candidates joined the National Assembly by-election race on the 8th day of registration. Polling is extended on the final day of Egypt's presidential election, with former Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Sisi poised to win. And Ukraine's army recaptures Donetsk airport as at least 40 people are killed in heavy fighting with pro-Russian separatists. Thank you for joining us.